Hello and welcome. If you're studying for a big test and need to build up your English vocabulary, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to tackle 25 important words. We'll group them together so they're easier to learn, use really simple explanations, and give you clear examples so you can remember them. Ready? Let's get started. Okay, so our first group of words is all about location and position. These words are super useful for describing exactly where something is, if it's way up high, down low, right in the smack dab middle, or even on the other side of the planet. All right, let's break these down. First, we have amid. It simply means in the middle of something. If you're at a concert, you are standing amid the crowd. Easy, right? Next is anterior, which is just a fancy, more scientific way to say front. The anterior side of your body is the front side. Then there's antipodal. This describes something on the exact opposite side of the Earth. So Australia is antipodal to parts of the North Atlantic Ocean. And finally, an aperture is just an opening or a hole, usually one that light passes through, like the aperture of a camera lens. Now, let's talk about getting to the top. The word for the very highest point of something is apex. It can be a physical thing, like the apex of a mountain, that's its peak, but you can also use it for things you can't touch. For instance, reaching the apex of your career means you're at the most successful point. Apogee is another word that means a high point, but it's a little different. It's usually used for the highest point in a long process or a journey over time. You might say a band's career reached its apogee with their most famous album. It's the peak of their entire journey. So, what's the real difference between apex and apogee? Here's the key. Think of apex as a sharp, pointy top, like the top of a pyramid. Apogee is more like the highest point in a long, curving path, like the highest point in a civilization's history or a satellite's orbit. So we just talked about reaching the highest point. Now let's look at words that describe how we can add to something, build it up, or collect things. This next group is all about adding and gathering. Here are 3 ways to add things, but they all mean something very different. To amass means you gather a whole lot of something for yourself, usually over a long time. You can amass a fortune, or you can amass a huge collection of stamps. To annex is very specific. It's when a country takes control of another piece of land and adds it to its own. And a lot is the opposite of amassing. It means to give out shares of something. A teacher might allot 2 pieces of candy to each student. Now for a totally different kind of adding. When you aggrandize something, you're not adding physical things. You're adding importance by exaggerating. So if you say you were the most important person on a team project when you really just did a small part, you are aggrandizing your role. You're making it sound much bigger than it was. This chart is incredibly helpful because it shows you the differences so clearly. Just look at what's being added and the action. Amass is about gathering for yourself. Annex is about taking land. A lot is about giving to others. And aggrandize is about exaggerating. Understanding this will really help you on your test. Okay, time to switch gears. Now we're going to look at a really powerful group of words. These all describe very strong and usually pretty negative emotions. Everything from shock and worry to sadness and fighting. To aggrieve someone is to hurt them in a way that is really unfair, causing them a lot of sadness and distress. So if a factory pollutes a river, the people who live in the town and can no longer use the water would feel aggrieved. They have been wronged and harmed unfairly. Here's a little tip for you. Aggrieved is a pretty formal word. You probably wouldn't say, "I'm aggrieved," if your friend ate the last cookie. You're much more likely to hear it in a legal situation, like someone being the aggrieved party in a lawsuit. Let's run through 4 more of these emotional words. To be aghast means you are totally shocked and horrified. You would be aghast if you saw a car crash. Angst is that deep, anxious feeling of worry, often about life itself. To alienate someone is to make them feel like an outsider, like they don't belong. And an altercation? Well, that's a noisy public fight or argument. All right, let's move on. Our next group of words is really interesting. It helps us talk about time, the past, the future, and also different kinds of stories, and even a little bit of magic. We can actually put these 3 words on a timeline. Antiquity refers to the very distant past, like the time of the ancient Greeks and Romans. Antedate simply means to come before something else. For example, letters antedate email. And aftermath refers to the period right after a big, usually terrible event, like the aftermath of a huge storm. These two words are great for talking about books and writing. An anthology is pretty simple. It's just a collection of different pieces of writing all in one book. You could have an anthology of love poems, for example. An allegory is different. It's one single story, but everything in the story, the characters, the events, is a symbol for a much bigger idea about morality or life. Okay, quick question for you. I'm sure you've seen this a million times in movies and books. You know, when a cartoon animal can talk, or a car has feelings. Well, there's a special word for that. It's a big one, anthropomorphic. But the idea is actually very simple. It just means giving human qualities to something that isn't human. Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, the talking animals in The Lion King, they are all anthropomorphic characters. Alchemy was an ancient practice, kind of like a mix of science and magic, where people tried to turn cheap metals into pure gold. We don't really do that anymore, but we use the word to describe any amazing transformation that seems almost magical. A great coach can perform alchemy by turning a losing team into a winning one. And here we are at our final group. These last three words are all about support, showing loyalty, giving help, or providing money. Allegiance is a very strong and serious kind of loyalty. It's not just about being a good friend. It's a formal promise to support a country, a leader, or a big cause. When soldiers join the Army, they swear allegiance to their country. Something that is ancillary provides extra help or support to the main thing. Think of it as being part of the support crew, not the main star. For a hospital, the doctors and nurses are the main part. The ancillary services would be things like the cafeteria or the gift shop that support the hospital. An annuity is all about financial support. It's an investment that pays you a fixed amount of money every single year. It's very common for people who are retired. So if you have an annuity, you get a regular payment that helps you live comfortably. And there you have it, 25 brand new words for your vocabulary. See how learning them in groups makes them so much easier to understand? Now, think about this. Which of these new words gives you the most power to describe your world in a new way? The most important thing now is to actually start using them. The more you use them, the better you'll know them. You're doing great. Keep going.